Hey guys, this is Patrick from Schedule for One Fall. Before we get into episode 54, I want to apologize for my audio quality. Last night we recorded the show. I thought that my microphone was on, but it was indeed off. So once again, I apologize if my audio quality is digital piss. But it was a wonderful show. There's a lot of information, and there was a lot of news and all that shit. But bear with me. I'm sorry. I fucked up. Enjoy the show.
What's up, delightful humans? I'm Shannon Townsend.
And I'm Richard Townsend of the Married Marks podcast.
And you are listening to Scheduled for One Fall.
Episode 54, Scheduled for One Fall. I am Patrick.
You are.
Yeah, alongside Val Capone, a.k.a. my big Val Boski. And we are joined by a special guest. His name is Doug Fowler, and he is a moderator on what's that shit? Reddit? Yeah, Reddit, SquaredCircle.
Yes,
and
I'm one of the SquaredCircle mods.
Yeah, oh my god, man. I have so many stories about that place. But it's
sure
all good. But it's all good, man. Thank you for being on the show, man. Sorry for butchering that whole intro. That's what I get booking weed.
Nah, it's perfectly fine. Thank you very much for having me. This will be a lot of fun.
Man, yeah man. Please, man. Just whatever's on your mind, say what's on your mind. And before we get into everything, I always ask the wrestlers when they come on, a couple questions and things like that. And I wanted to know, what made you get into watching wrestling? This is my thing.
Absolutely. So I'm probably a bit different in that. Well, I guess not different, but I'm one of the lapsed fans where I used to. I got into it in 96, 97 when I was in middle school, and I watched WCW. WCW drew me in, seeing Sting coming down from the rafters, NWO. That whole stuff is what dragged me in. I didn't even know WWF existed until a year or two into my fandom. So yeah,
that's
I mean,
crazy.
So that's the thing. I was WCW through and through, and to me, it's when I figured out about WWF, I suddenly remembered I remember stuff like that. I remember Hogan and things like that. It's I didn't know that. I didn't know WWF was still around, because you have to keep in mind, you have to understand. It's when I started, WWF was at least for me and my group of friends, it was a non-entity. It was
you were Monday Nitro all the way.
I was Nitro all the way, and it's funny.
Nitro for life.
Absolutely, and I watched. I was really into Nitro. I loved it. I loved everything about it. We watched Thunder. WCW was great, and it's funny because I didn't really get a lot of the references in NWO stuff until later, really talking about coming from the northern organization. Where Eric Bischoff is out there, having arguments and talking about Vince McMahon and saying he wants to have a shoot fight with him and things like that on Nitro.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I didn't get any of that stuff till later because I was just a kid who was I'm watching Sting, I'm watching.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and eventually and I'll make this, I'll just give you the Cliff Notes version. Eventually, I fell out of WCW. And usually the point that I kind of point at is when Sting joined the Wolfpack.
What? Oh yeah, bogus.
What?
Yeah, I was yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was trash for Sting to join the Wolfpack. And
that was bogus, dude.
That weird goatee thing he had going on.
Oh yeah, God, what a creep.
Yeah,
and the red paint. It's what is this?
Oh God, the red paint made me so angry. I was I'm going back to USA. I might even have to watch Silk Stockings instead of this garbage.
Man, Well, you know what's crazy? I remember being at it was the Nitro when Warrior debuted at the United Center, and I remember them selling those Sting red mask for $30, and I think I got one still somewhere around here. But yeah, that was definitely a fucked up time in WCW started going down the shitter.
Yeah, that was that was definitely at that point I was already aware of WWF. This was in 1998. At that point, I was kind of keeping an eye on WWF, but not really watching it.
Yeah.
When that happened, I remember that WWF was having a pay-per-view in Chicago, and I had never
Mhm.
been to a wrestling show, like a live wrestling show at this time. So
Mhm.
a friend was going, and he asked if I wanted to go with him and his dad. So I took him up on it, and at that point, I was like, I guess I better watch a little WWF so I understand what I'm going to be watching. And this was Judgment Day 1998. So if you need a refresher, that was the one where Vince
Austin
McMahon
Hayes?
fired Austin,
Oh yeah.
and which
Oh,
led
okay. Yeah.
yes, which led to like the bedpan incident in the hospital and and him just popping up attacking him. So that that was my first wrestling show, my first WWF show, and I really enjoyed it. And at that point, I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to watch WWF for a while because I am kind of done with WCW. Maybe 6 months into this, maybe 9 months, I realized that this isn't exactly grabbing me. Like I don't know what it was, but I kind of fell out. And right around the time I discovered ECW,
Mm,
ECW.
ECW,
ECW. Can I just
ECW.
point out that
yeah.
I just started laughing when you said 6 months because I was like, oh my god, he's gonna say he fell out of love with WWE. So
I,
that's why I started laughing.
yeah, I mean,
He's
I
like, oh
shouldn't,
yeah, 6 months. That sounds about right in the late '90s. Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, it's like, because I mean, it started to change a bit, but WCW and WWF were so different even back then. It's like, you
Yeah.
would actually see matches, and it was a lot more sports based than WCW because I
Mhm.
left before Russo got there. Like I was,
Oh man. Oh
I,
my
I was
lord.
already, I was out before that even happened, and
Yeah.
then I go to WWF, and when I go there, it's you know peak Russo at that point. So 6 months. I mean, it was new and it was fresh, and I enjoyed it at the time. So I basically watched all the way up to WrestleMania 15. So that
Oh,
whole run,
WrestleMania 13. It was so good.
no 15, 1-5,
Oh, I thought you
one.
said 13.
No,
Sorry,
yeah,
your voice cut out. I was like, 13 was so good.
no, not 13. No, so this is 50. This would be the one that was when Rock turned heel, became
Yeah.
corporate Rock, and then
Corporate.
Austin won at
Yeah.
WrestleMania. So but then I discovered ECW, and that's when I was like, wow, this is this. And once again, it seems like I keep jumping to new things. It's like I have like the worst wrestling attention span, where it's like I just need to move on, and that's when. But honestly, I went to ECW Anarchy Rules 1999.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the Odeum, and
Yep.
I would say that was the first time I got wrestling. And what I mean by I got wrestling
Mhm.
is when you're a kid, you're watching for the storylines, all the goofy nonsense that goes on. You just you pop for the Sting coming down from the rafters, or you pop for Austin driving the beer truck down. The memorable moments, but it's not really the wrestling. And the ECW was the first time I got the wrestling, and oddly enough, it wasn't like a hardcore match or anything you're going to see in ECW. It
Yeah.
was Lance Storm versus Jerry Lynn.
Oh
Um,
man.
and
Classic fucking match.
yeah,
Classic
Yeah, dude.
match.
and here's the thing. It was maybe 3 minutes into the match where I saw my first, at least maybe the first time I really paid attention to it, a situation where there was chain wrestling where they would do knockdowns pop up, and then eventually they do the spot where they both stand up and freeze, and then the
Yeah.
crowd goes nuts. Take it for granted today, but that was the first time I ever saw that, and I saw the whole crowd react, and I was like, oh my god, I understand wrestling now. Like, what have
Mhm.
I been watching the last like 3 years? I didn't even
That's
get it
so
until
cool.
now. Yeah, and then eventually ECW, WCW went under, and it was just WWF, and I stopped for about 14 years.
Oh shit. So
Yeah.
so a big gap. I thought like, oh, you can't, you like that's crazy because like a lot of people that I talked to, they didn't watch the ruthless aggression like era of
I didn't
WWE.
I didn't watch most of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Like I
I would
was so
say,
grossed out by the treatment of women and just like the super blatant racism and
Oh man.
homophobia. And I was just like, you know what? I just turned 21 and I'm bartending at crazy bars in Chicago. I'm touring with bands. I'm traveling the world. I don't need to like make sure I have my VCR set for Raw. You know what I mean?
It was fucked up. I remember like the whole crime time thing. Vince McMahon using the N word. Oh
Yep.
man, that was a good one. The whole year he wore a do rag and had his feud with Bobby Lashley in ECW for the East. Like Vince McMahon was the ECW champion at the time. So that just goes to show how
Yeah, I know of it.
Man, it was bad.
I missed WWECW, I guess you would call
Oh
it.
yeah,
Right?
that's what I always call it, WWECW, because it's just like
Man, it was a
it's
tough
so
watch.
Flintstones vitamins when it should be like illegally bought like in the bleachers at Wrigley
Yeah.
Adderall.
Yeah, I know.
It was a
You know what
tough
I mean?
watch.
Like,
And
But
I'm not someone, and
yeah, go ahead, my bad.
I'm not someone who goes back and watches old stuff either. Like, I just watch current stuff usually. And but I did go back and watch the one night stand shows, and those were fun. I did enjoy those a lot.
Those were incredible. Only
Yeah.
because I think it was all, like Paul Heyman. I think WWE had minimum to do it, as you can tell, like even from the crowd and the whole atmosphere with that. Those pay-per-views were incredible, dude. They were fucking sick.
Absolutely.
But
So then I guess I'll fast forward at this point because there's no point in going over all the stuff the time I didn't watch. So then first of all, I'm a high school teacher. That's my
man,
that's my shoot job, I guess.
that's your job. Oh man.
Yeah. And one of the teachers I work with was a pretty big wrestling fan, and we were talking. This would be around 2014. We were talking about wrestling. We got on the subject somehow, and I talked about how I used to watch, like fell out, and he says that he still watches, and it's his guilty little pleasure. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I should give this a shot again. So I decided to give it a shot, and oddly enough, the episode that I watch, and I said I was going to give it a little while. I said I'll give it a couple months. So I turned it on, and it was an episode of Raw where it was the day after CM Punk walked out.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I'm coming into this, and I'm like, what is going on? Because I remember I turned on the TV watching it. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon come out, and then the crowd is just booing them, and he says, "Oh, you didn't get what you wanted," or just mocking him about what happened. And then Daniel Bryan comes out, and so I basically walked right back into the entire Daniel Bryan to WrestleMania story. So that was I came back at a pretty good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I watched that entire build up to WrestleMania, and then WrestleMania 30 was awesome. And at that point, I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to stick with this for a while. And at that point, I had been on the internet. I found Reddit at that point, and started posting on there. And then I started migrating to other stuff. I started watching stuff in Japan. I watched New Japan right around that time, because once the WWE Network launched, so did New Japan World. And I like to dive into that stuff, so I dove in, and that G1, so 2014's G1, that was when I branched out into New Japan.
which is how we met because of the New Japan. I mean, not for a couple of years yet, but for Wrestle Kingdom at Replay, wasn't that how we met in person?
Yes, yes, that was how we met. Absolutely.
New Japan.
Absolutely, New Japan, bringing people together. So then, at that point, so and then for a while, eventually, I kind of I faded out of WWE, but I still keep an eye on it and have kept an eye on it. But then obviously I did the NXT thing, and now today I'm watching mostly. I'll still keep an eye on NXT. I'll watch the takeovers. I'll watch the major WWE pay-per-views, but my big promotions actually right now I still watch New Japan, but if I had to pick my favorite promotion, it's probably Pro Wrestling Eve in London. And I'll but then I enjoy GCW. I enjoy a lot of the stuff that's on independentwrestling.tv, obviously.
Yeah. That's
So
dope. Yeah.
I try. So I've become more eclectic, and it's honestly at the point where I'm just really big into watching live wrestling, and I travel a lot for it. That's that's sort of become my new thing too, is because I've developed a small group of traveling friends who like to go to shows around the country, around the world, and I've gotten really good at of earning credit card miles, air frequent flyer miles, credit card offers, and I just I'll travel around. Like I have my one friend Misaki. She's an interesting one. She was born in Osaka, and when she turned 7, she moved to London, and then she stayed in London until she was going to college, and she went back to Japan for college. So she speaks Japanese and English fluently. Sorry. So what ended up happening is we met at the G1 Supercard not the G1 Supercard, the G1 Special in Long Beach, and we started this. And she was a big wrestling fan only for about a year, and this was probably when I was only in it back in 2 or 3 years, and we just kind of bonded over it, and now we travel around a lot and go to different shows. We went to WrestleMania, last 2 WrestleManias together. We're going to Double or Nothing together. We're going to G1 in Dallas together, and then through those we met other people as well. So we actually have kind of a small group of 6 or 7 people, and there's usually some combination of us that are going somewhere. So wrestling to me has almost just become, I don't want to say a reason to travel, but it's become more than just me watching shows. I get to hang out with people, travel around the world, and just have a great time. And I'm also a moderator on SquaredCircle, so that eventually happened along the time too.
Yeah, and it's looking back, because I'm in my mid-30s, I wish that I would have found a group of friends that wanted to travel and see different shit. I would say I guess it's different now because independent wrestling is big, it's huge now. Like you mentioned GCW, I wouldn't have known shit about that if it wasn't for Val. We went to Freelance versus GCW, and that's how I ended up seeing now my new favorite wrestler, Tony Devin. So
Tony Devin's great.
Yeah,
he's so awesome.
He is fucking man, dude. He is the man. I gotta watch him and Joey Janela tonight after this show. But yeah, man, it's definitely cool to have a collective of friends to travel around the world. I get so jealous when I see Val. And Val always invites me. It's not she don't be.
Yeah, I was going to say when you're I wish I had a group of friends. I was no. Vinnie Mac and I travel constantly, and now Henny Omega has been to a few things. My buddy DJ, there's a whole crew of dudes you can roll with.
I'm getting my shit together. It's just so hard when you're in the music business. It's just so. Oh man.
But you know what? And it's fun though because even in Chicago, especially, you go to any show and you see people like me and Val.
Absolutely.
I went to Shimmer, and she was just happened to be sitting right in front of me, and my friend Alexis, who I went with, and it's just it's every show you just run into people It's great.
Val is every fucking where. Val is literally everywhere. Anytime I turn on TV, any wrestling event, it's Val. Val is everywhere. I told you, Val, I gotta make the shirts. I know Val from home.
Shut up.
I'm telling you, it's going to sell out, man. So, but yeah, that's so dope, man. Just to hear how how you were such a big fan, and especially starting as a WCW guy, because during that time everything was all WWF at the time, and I remember I was a big WCW guy, but I kind of had to be undercover about it. Because WCW was the Southern wrestling and all that shit. But I was such a huge I enjoyed Nitro more than I did Raw back then or whatever. And
yeah, because y'all just the Nitro girls. Come on.
What's crazy? I can't remember all the Nitro. Only one I remember is Booker T's wife, Shawn Michaels' wife, and I think that's about it. I was the only dancer I wanted to see was Disco and Alex Wright.
Yeah, there you go, Alex Wright.
That's Wonder Kid. Yeah, so yeah, that is man, that is so dope.
Yeah,
I wish.
It's weird though that you say that because I hear that with so many people. And
I was absolutely joking. I recognize that there's two very distinct styles of wrestling when talking about WWE and or WWF at that time and WCW. Just because you're dudes doesn't mean you're only gonna watch it because of girls.
No.
Well, I know. Now, come on,
But
I got tired of seeing fucking garbage man getting body slammed, so I just watched WCW. It was more realistic to me. I think. What was it? I think it was Dean Malenko. Yeah, it was Dean Malenko who was the guy for me. Like everyone was like in the Sting and Vader and Flair and stuff like that, but Dean Malenko was like my guy, dude. I could not go. You could not go wrong with a Dean Malenko match. So
Love
who was
Dean.
like? I guess I was gonna ask you like who was like your favorite growing up. I guess Sting.
Sting is the one who got me in for sure. If I had to pick from WCW, the one I really loved, it was probably Chris Jericho.
Oh, man.
Which obviously ties into Dean Malenko perfectly because that was the Dean Malenko Chris Jericho feud was incredible. It was so great. But I think that's the thing. It's like around that time period though. Maybe I'm a different data point for you because I know you say that WWF was the cool one and you had to be low key about WCW. Maybe it might just be the different environment that you grew up in.
Right.
Just because for me, it was kind of the opposite. Like at school, everyone had like NWO shirts on and stuff like that. I mean, that was like the cool thing. But at the same time, I always kind of think like I'm sure there's like some cultural stuff to it because I grew up in like lily white southwest suburbs, which is probably a little bit of redneck anyway. And
you said it, not me. You said it, not me.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I grew up in Tinley Park, Orland Park area. So
man.
That's the all lives matter of suburbs.
That is, you know what? You're absolutely. You said it again. I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, I've been to Tinley Park, man. Woo. Yeah.
It's Orland. I think it was I don't remember where it was, but it was a Time Out article that talked about why your suburb sucks. And Orland Park, they said it's the land of chunky highlights and the men who find them irresistible. And and Tinley Park is the same thing, only with more Dave Matthews concerts.
I was gonna say, what about crappy concerts?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Although the last time I was in Tinley Park, I was there for Kesha Macklemore. It's been a while.
That's really white.
Yep.
But I mean that's what it is. But I guess
or it was Slayer. It might have been Slayer. I don't know. Either way.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, man. Thanks for giving like a little small background on you and stuff like that.
Yeah. If it's not hard to tell, I prefer my wrestling a little bit more woke. So.
Yeah.
Oh dude. Look, I am with you because there's a lot of shit that I disagree with, and man, we're going to talk about some shit. We're definitely going to talk about.
Oh
some
my
shit,
God!
man.
Yes, we are today.
Mm-hmm.
But we got some wrestling news, and it's been 3 years now that China is not with us anymore. But looking back. And looking at everything that happened this year, and even last year with Evolution, and WWE finally acknowledging her, I believe it's gonna, open the door for some good things. I'm hoping and praying that they do change it to the China Battle Memorial, the China Memorial, whatever the hell they're gonna call it,
Well, hopefully they call it the China Memorial Battle Royale because, as I pointed out countless times on the show, and to anybody that will lend me their ear, if it's Andre the Giant Battle Royale and he's the 8th wonder of the world, she's the 9th wonder in the world, why does it not make sense?
Only makes sense. Yeah.
I'm super excited that the camp that brought you the hashtag of China HOF is now really pushing for that, which I'm all about lending my voice to. So I went from being like, let her in to let's do this right, and that's just like one more little inch closer to her being recognized as a solo act as well. Hopefully one day.
For sure. Yeah.
Which I was did you read the article, Patrick?
Yes, I did. Oh, wow, dude.
I was so excited and like so honored to be interviewed by, first off, one of my favorite YouTube YouTuber, podcasters, a little bit of everything. He's also a fabulous mark. DJ Accident Report writes for Nylon magazine, and he also is on the Nobody's Watching Wrestling. Which, have you ever watched that, Doug?
Absolutely. Me and
oh yeah, duh! You're the reason why he got in touch with me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're really close.
Jeez, small world.
Yeah, it's actually funny because no, we'll talk. We'll finish up this thought because I think you're absolutely right, and I love the article, and you made some excellent points, and I think that having her being in the battle royal is or her being the battle royal named after it makes so much sense, especially after they fucked it up the first time.
As soon as they announced that they were doing a female one, I was like, ooh, it's gonna be China. And then it was like, fabulous. Snickers presents fabulous Moolah.
Yeah,
and then Snickers presents we're pulling the plug. And then it was suddenly just Snickers presents WrestleMania Battle Royale.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And DJ Accident Reports did an excellent job with that article. It was awesome. The nobodies are great. Since they made their first video, it got posted on Reddit, and that was where it kind of blew up initially. So
I just love them.
I had a dialogue with them since, and actually over WrestleMania weekend, they did the Gay Young Classic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I really wanted to go to that, but it just didn't work out timing wise because I was at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Hold on, excuse me. Hold on. What was it called?
It was
the Gay Young Classic.
See, Classic. No. Only reason I'm high, and I thought I heard that, but I didn't want to repeat it without it actually being like, all right. So this is a real event.
This was amazing. Okay, this is what it was. It was a lip sync competition between 8 competitors. 6 of them were drag queens. The other 2 were Brody King and Chris Wolf.
Oh man, I love Chris Wolf.
And my claim
wanted to go so bad.
Yeah, my claim to fame was I was the one that got Chris Wolf booked. So they were like, we need one more person. So it's like I'm pretty close with Chris Wolf. So I was just like, I sent her a DM. I was like, hey, you want to do this? It's like I don't know if they can pay you.
Amazing. She's amazing.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's retiring tomorrow.
And, so sad.
Oh, what really?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch. She's retired. She has a retirement show at Eve, in London. It's airing live, so it starts at like 2 p.m. Chicago time. So I'm gonna like.
Oh, maybe I'll put it on at Nice tomorrow.
What? Oh my God! Like my mind is blown right. Like what?
Yeah, she'll find out. But I had a bouquet of flowers sent to her, a congratulatory retirement flowers.
Oh my God! Yeah.
She's so great. So Patrick, obviously you're sad to find out that she's retiring, but she's had a couple of pretty severe hits to the head, right? That's the gist of it. Is the concussions?
That's the main thing. It's all health related. But she's always been someone who's very fly by the seat of her pants, experience life, and not really get all planned out and bogged down. And which I really respect about her is that she's such a free spirit. But at this point, then she just got married. So now great for her. Now she's gonna be wandering the world with someone
with her wife,
she really loves. Yeah. But she definitely had to stop just because of the concussions, which good for her for knowing when to stop.
Yeah, to be honest with you, at the Shimmer weekend, the weekend before WrestleMania week, Vinnie Mac and I bought some T-shirts. I was like, hey, we got to support Chris Wolf. This is like her farewell tour. And I already have some of her merch, but I was like, I want to just, buy more to support her before she retires. And when we were talking to her, she was so sweet. She's like, I remember you guys. You're here at all the shows. And we were like, yeah, we're those guys. She's like, I'm one of those guys too. I totally understand. Like, she was super cool. And I was like, hey, as an aside, I'm super proud of you. And she's like, why? I'm like, because you're putting yourself first. And she was like, thank you so much. Some people don't really understand it, but it's kind of essential. I was like, well, you kind of need your brain, dude.
Brain's important.
She's so great.
My whole day is fucked up. Oh my God! Like this is this is like bad. Like that's.
Well,
I didn't know.
She retired. God. She retired in like a super positive way, like getting a lot of hurrah on her way out. Yeah. But did you guys hear the crazy news today? Dean Malenko quit WWE.
I know.
Good for him.
That's like,
What is
Good
going
for
on
him.
backstage, man? Oh,
dude, I don't know.
Good
I
for
mean,
him.
I feel like this is because he's not the first one recently, because they had Arn Anderson a
Arn
couple weeks
Anderson,
ago.
yeah.
Well, Arn
Yeah.
Anderson got fired. He got fired.
Okay.
Road Dogg stepped down from his position and has taken an extended leave of absence, or he's taking some time off. And now, after 8 years as a backstage agent, Dean Malenko has quit WWE, according to multiple sources, as reported by Sports Illustrated.
Yeah,
Good for him.
we were sitting on this on Reddit because it got posted from Sports Illustrated. Is it Justin Barrasso, I think his name is?
Yeah, Justin Barrasso.
Yeah, he reported it, and we wanted to sit on it just because a lot of people were like, well, let's wait for another person. Then Ryan Satin and Sean Ross Sapp showed up and was like, oh, I guess this is legit, and
Yeah.
it's just so crazy. Like I mean, a lot of people I think really didn't want to believe it just because he's been there so long. I mean, he's
No shit. Like I know he's been 8 years as a backstage agent, but I'm sure he's been there longer than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what's super crazy is one of my girlfriends tweeted me. She was like, did you see this? I guess it's really real. And then another friend of mine, basically almost right after that, in my timeline, I saw that she posted a meme of like the alumni page on WWE. And it was Dean Ambrose. And then the next picture is like Kermit the Frog holding his cell phone, like clutching it, like, I can't believe it. And like, of course, right after Dean Ambrose is Dean Malenko. And I just looked at him. I was like, man of 1,000 holds or whatever it was. And I was like, he's so badass. Oh, Dean Malenko, I should go back and watch some of his matches. I didn't think anything of it. I went to see Van Morrison with Tall Dad and some friends. And then I come out and I was like, oh shit, how weird that I was just thinking about, oh, I love Dean Malenko and he's so great. And there you go.
Good for him for leaving. Good for him. And same with Robert Evans, who was fired for I guess like writing Vince McMahon's name in Bret Hart's speech.
Oh
He
yeah.
got fired for that. Yeah. So shout out to him too. And I like how he kind of spent it, and he's using it as like a positive thing. Like he's calling himself the Quit Man, like Hitman or whatever, and he quit WWE. Pretty funny stuff. But
yeah, I mean, you gotta sometimes you just gotta stand up for yourself, and you gotta realize that you don't need to take that shit. I mean, if they're gonna fire you for bullshit like that, and it's sometimes gotta go. What they need to do right now is go through their roster and see who else named Dean, and just kind of check with them, make sure they're okay at this point.
Yeah, really. Well, there's like the firings, the quittings, and there's all these people that are asking for their release. And Patrick and I were messaging each other. Was it today?
Yeah.
And Luke Harper, apparently, he requested his release last week, and it has been denied. And just like I said on the show last week, I said, boy, I hope that they grant this release because he was out for 6 months with his injury. They're going to tack on another 6 months at the end of the contract because they have every legal right to do so. And he's basically not going to be eligible to work for anybody until next WrestleMania.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this to you guys. Do you think that him publicly putting it out there instead of like privately
100%.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
100%.
This is like punishment. This is like we're setting an example here.
I think this is. Oh, everybody thinks the floodgates are open just because we were supportive of Ty Dillinger and Goldust.
Tommy, yeah.
Hideo. Like they allowed a few people, and Luke Harper isn't exactly like a John Cena. Like, Brody Lee is badass. Luke Harper is a badass, but he's not one of their top grossing guys. So I don't know what he was thinking in putting out this thing before getting any sort of clearance from the tower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I got the impression that maybe he was initially thinking, okay, if I put it out there now, they're not going to want to make it. Maybe they don't want this perception that people are unhappy and staying there, so maybe they would just let him go. But clearly that didn't pan out.
But almost in the same 24 hours, Goldust, I guess it was 48 hours. I don't even know. All the days blur together during baseball season for me. It's basically baseball season and time between pay-per-views. That's the only way I know what day of the week it is. It's Cubs games and pay-per-views. But, Cody Rhodes announced that Cody rather, announced that his opponent at Double or Nothing is going to be Goldust. And it was no more than maybe 2-3 weeks ago that we were having this conversation about Goldust denying those rumors and denying that he was ever leaving the company or that he was unhappy. So I think the fact that he was like, no, I love WWE and that's my home and that's my heart. And even though he ended up going a different way eventually, the fact that he, said, no, I'm here all the way. I don't know. Maybe that's why they let him go, but not Luke. It's just so bizarre.
There was a report on 411 Mania today that, and I, take this, it's the only one I've seen reporting it, so I don't know how truthful it is, but they were saying that Vince McMahon reportedly didn't want to release Goldust, but Triple H convinced him to do it.
Mm.
I mean, I can see that. I can see Papa McMahon being, especially with this new, competition in town, You can't let everyone fucking go in, and you thinking Dustin Rhodes, or I guess just Dustin. Is he just going to be Dustin in AEW, or can he get the Rhodes name? Like, I don't know how that works now.
Yeah, I think. Well, here's the thing. I think he's going to be Dustin. I think. I wonder if this is just like a one-time thing. Maybe this is his retirement match, and maybe that's why Triple H was so okay with him going. You're like, hey, we're going to do this final match, and you want to do it with your brother on a really big stage. You go ahead and do that. I mean, that could be very possible.
I think that actually had a lot to do with it because all the things I've been seeing Goldust tweet, has been about like, I can give it one more go and things like that. And he's got the red and black face paint now. And so it's very very different. I mean, honestly, if he wanted to separate himself from Goldust altogether, why do the face paint?
Yeah, that's my thing. Even though I saw him like bury the Goldust like outfit and stuff like that. I mean, it's the same shit when he was in TNA as Black Rain.
Right.
That was a low point. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was let's not talk about it ever again, Patrick.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Take
that out. Edit that out.
I'll edit that out. Or I'll
from my brain.
I'll beep it out like I used to do Ahmed Johnson's name.
Yeah, so, Ahmed Johnson.
I'll beep him out. But speaking of I guess WWE, man, Vince must have some fucking pull because the Dead Man, Undertaker, and Kurt Angle, they're out of StarCast. And the same thing with Terry Funk. Obviously, his wife just passed away. So, man, Vince McMahon, is he throwing the money bag around? Like, hey, man, here's some more money. Don't do that, or
Or do you think he's throwing that lawyer card around because, like, hey, by the way, have you met my friends, the lawyers of WWE? I mean,
I have. I mean, I guess they are active, under contract.
I mean,
Ric Flair's going to be there too. So but I guess it's different because Conrad is his son-in-law. I guess.
I mean, it sounds like this is a situation where if Conrad wanted to pursue it, he probably has a case, but it's just a matter of, is he going to sit there and spend all this money to fight McMahon? Because he had the contract for Undertaker, and Vince told him to back out, and it's just one of those things where Conrad's not going to argue, not going to fight it, and I'm sure Vince is giving Undertaker some payoff to do that, to not do this.
Yeah.
And I'll
do you
be
think
honest,
he's going to send him back to Saudi Arabia?
Oh, he's definitely going over there. He's definitely going over there. Undertaker will do as many Saudi shows as he has to do, because I'm pretty sure his bag, whatever he gets from them, is big. It got Shawn Michaels out of fucking retirement.
Let's be honest. At this point, after the news from the last couple of days, the Saudis are probably the only WWE investors that are happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just reading about that. How much they lost this quarter, and that they're blaming it on injuries.
Stock went down 10% today.
That's crazy. Oh man, I gotta buy some.
Yeah.
I thought
That's what I gotta do.
I thought it was because of Bray Wyatt. I thought it
Yeah.
was because of the Firefly.
Oh, I'm
house.
sorry. It actually went down 13% today. Wow.
Oh, see, that's a lucky number. Taylor Swift released a new song today. Her lucky number's 13. WWE stock is down 13%. I'm buying it all.
There you go.
Wow, you're very white. But that's nothing new. That's nothing new. But speaking of people getting injured and shit like that, Nia Jax had surgery on. Didn't she tear like both her ACLs or something like that? Something crazy.
I want to say it was both her meniscus.
Yeah. I think it's the meniscus. Whatever.
She had a double meniscal injury.
Yeah, she tore some shit, and man, dude, that's rough. Like both legs.
Oh, it looks like it was also her ACL.
I'm okay. I was when I was in high school. I was a swimmer. That was my sport. Varsity swimming. Not too many injuries in swimming. Val, you obviously do a little bit more high contact sports. How bad is this? Because I have no frame of reference, honestly.
Okay, so to have one ACL repaired at a time can take an athlete out for like anywhere from 6 to 9 months, realistically. But having them both, she's going to be out for at least a year. Because, I mean, it's really bad. It's not good. Like, okay, so I've had 2 meniscal repairs on my left knee. I had my meniscus torn slightly, like when you're peeling a little bit of string cheese off the string cheese, like off the mozzarella,
right?
And it's kind of dangling there, but it's still part of the actual string cheese stick. That's what like a partial meniscal tear is. And then I've had a complete tear on my meniscus, which is when you rip the string cheese off, and it's just totally separate. So it was like my meniscus was in 2 separate pieces. Those are not that bad of surgery. That sucks. That's what Biggie is dealing with supposedly, but they're not that bad. But your ACL, that's a crucial, the anterior crucial ligament, that's crucial to you as an athlete because that is your stability of your knee for the most part. So I've torn my ACL, MCL, and meniscus in my right knee, but I was an idiot 25-year-old, and I didn't want to be out for 9 months in my second season of roller derby. So I was like, I'll just rehab it. And I still have problems to this day. Now, the other knee, I had knee surgery on. Fantastic. So it's like a blessing and a curse that she has them both at the same time because she's basically going to get, depending on how rehab goes. And I'm no doctor, so every person's case is different. And I don't know her situation specifically, but it's a blessing and a curse that she had them both because it's going to take a little bit longer to heal. But also she's basically going to have 2 really strong knees when she comes back. Because I guarantee, based on everybody that comes back from injury, like Seth Rollins and John Cena and Nikki Bella, they have some of the absolute best physical therapists working with WWE. There's no way that they're not the top. So she's going to be just fine. But I got to wonder how much damage had she done to her knees in just the short time she's been with WWE that she had to have both.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's my thing. But, it might be a good thing for her to be away with all the drama going on in, WWE and all the supposed heat in the, women's locker room and stuff like that. Well, I will say one thing, though. I think Sasha Banks might be right. The way she handled it, her whole, I guess taking her ball and going home type thing. Yeah, it's kind of, and the rumors.
But not taking her belt.
Yeah, not taking her belt. All the crying on the floor shit. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what happened because we wasn't there. If that is true, yeah, that's kind of, childish. But I think she's right. I think she might be right, and I think we might have another Neville situation with this.
If there's one person in that locker room who could probably pull off the Neville situation, when I say pull it off, I mean sit home, and when you sit home, all that happens is that you get more and more hot, and more people just want to see you because you just build up that anticipation. If there's anyone in that locker room who could probably pull that off, it's probably her.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's because you're supportive of women wrestling.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many, like, okay, so one of my favorite things about you, Doug, is like me, like Patrick, you're like, I just love wrestling. I don't look at her as a female wrestler. I look at her as a wrestler. And that's how I feel like the three of us are very like-minded in support of women's wrestling and women wrestling in general. I cannot tell you how many things I read, how many messages I got personally, how many conversations I've had since WrestleMania about, God, they're just being brats. They're just being bitches. They're just throwing temper tantrums. Whereas when Luke Harper posted his stuff, everybody's like, see, that's a man. That's how you do that.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's been
definitely double
very,
standard.
so my thing is like, I'm worried that her stock is dropping. And I'm not a big Sasha mark to begin with, but she is very marketable and she's very popular. And people either are ambivalent to her or they really fucking love her. And I feel like she got like this reputation of being a brat and diva because her and Bailey supposedly laid on the ground after they found out that they were losing their belts.
Yeah,
And because she decided to go home and take a couple weeks off, they offered her that rather than having any serious conversations. I mean, like, basically she's being called a baby and a bitch and a brat. But I don't know that she would be if she was a man. Not to get
no, it's
super
definitely
political,
double
but
standard.
Listen,
No, it's double standard.
the male privilege is running wild in this company. Let's not pretend it's not. I mean,
yes,
and
it's
here's
worse than Hulkamania running wild, brother,
man.
through you.
absolutely, and it's like, and
I mean, he's a great example.
and listen, I love that they had the women's main event. That was an organic main event. It made sense that it wasn't like this was a shoehorn thing. That was the main event, and that was the top match.
Yeah.
But my big fear is now that they did it, they pat themselves on the back. I don't know what the direction is going forward, and I'm not sure that we're going to necessarily see that ever again in the immediate future.
I mean, they're kind of laying the if you notice, and we're going to talk about it with Raw and SmackDown, like I said, I think Sasha Banks is right. And I hate saying it, not because, let me get it out the way, it's not because she's a woman. I just think she's right about this, if just why build up these titles that mean something just to put it, on people now and don't. I think that, the iconics are great, but if you notice, in the next two segments, we're going to cover it. They lost in less than 2 minutes, both of them. So why are the tag team champions losing all the time now? And you're trying to build up. I guess what's the next event? Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you can't even get behind. Like no one cares about the titles no more. It kind of reminds me of what the United States title used to be. Like I feel like they're just gonna pass that shit around, hot potato it for a little while. And I think Sasha and Bailey want it to mean something. And I know it was a rumor that it was going to be one women's match at the Saudi event, and it was going to include the tag team titles. Now, me personally, I don't think that was going to be the match. If you got Becky and Charlotte there, I'm pretty sure they were going to find some way to have that match in Saudi Arabia too. But I mean, oh man, dude, Sasha's right. I think she's right. She's right.
Before we move on, I don't disagree with you that they should have stayed on Sasha and Bailey longer because it's not the first ever, but now that they've reintroduced and they're claiming they're the first ever, I think that they should have stayed on with the two of them a bit longer, especially if they're going to have the Iconics lose. And the Iconics hadn't really won too often leading up to that, so they weren't built as a strong, like, dominating force. Like, we're coming for your fucking titles. It wasn't like that. But also, they're really good at making people look weak when they shouldn't. So,
yeah.
They love to have champs lose, don't they?
That's what I'm saying. And it's kind of, to be perfectly honest with you, it's very American, like pop culture. Let's build our heroes up just to tear them down so we could see what the aftermath is going to be. And I mean, I don't have to tell you that, Doug. You poor soul. You have to moderate. You're a markerator is what I called you off air.
Man.
I mean,
The stuff I see in wrestling Reddit, oh my god.
I don't even know how you do it. I'm so impressed by you. Like, never mind, I adore you as a friend, and like we clicked from Jump Street, but I don't know how you do it because I had one person say something that was kind of lame about a promo that I just did, and it really didn't bother me. But then I was like, wait, this person just gets off on like talking about the girl who's introducing the wrestlers? Really? This is what you get off on? But
Yeah,
then again, I feel
it is ridiculous, and
yeah.
I'll say it's like, and I'll get like messages from people like what was it? I hate because we'll do like the Ask Me Anythings, the AMAs every now and then,
yeah.
which sometimes are hilarious. Like we just had, I don't care, I'll talk about him now because it's funny. We had Ryback 2 days ago.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and he came on there and he couldn't figure out how to reply to people's questions. So like instead of actually replying to the comments where people are asking him questions, he was replying to the actual post. So all of his answers were just getting posted without any context whatsoever, which made it amazing because people are just reading these, and then what they would do underneath it, they would type like their own silly question that kind of matched up but made them sound like an insane person. But and one of them, he just randomly posted "Sponge Daddy." Nobody knows what it meant, but it just went viral.
I gotta read this, man. I gotta read this.
Hey, get this. It went viral, and now just today he put out a T-shirt called "Sponge Daddy."
Oh, Jesus H.
Yeah.
Jesus Cristo. Fun fact, I actually have a Ryback full-size stand-up.
Well, really?
I know, all the crickets, right? No, it's after I had some pretty intense life-saving surgery, I couldn't eat. I could only drink liquids. So when I was actually able to eat like applesauce, it was so cool. Like Jello, oh my God, And so I'd always be like, feed me more. And so to help with my recovery, my friends like chipped in and bought me a Ryback stand-up to put in my kitchen to like cheer me on to keep eating food after I was able to eat food again.
Feed me more. That's hilarious.
And along those lines, I always respected you for the Crohn's because I don't know if I ever told you this, but my wife actually has Crohn's disease as well, and she had like the ridiculous surgery. She was in the hospital for like 3 months after she had like a 1.5 foot of intestines removed and everything, and was on an all liquid diet. So yeah. I could definitely relate.
Yeah,
not relate, but I mean, I can empathize, I guess.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that very much, and props to your wife for being a badass crony.
Yes.
But yeah, so Ryback, man, I got to go back and read that. So just real quick before we move on to Raw, a couple things. Hurricane Helms tweeted today about this weekend being potentially his last ever match, and it was just kind of really cute and really sad, but also really sweet. He just said, "Thank you to everyone that has ever watched and supported me, period. I did my best, period."
That damn WWE, I tell you.
I just thought it was really sweet and really cute, and best of luck to him. I hope that we get to see him again eventually in some capacity. And another man that I saw plenty of last Friday night at the Logan Square Auditorium, Joey Ryan, taking on Schedule for One Falls, one of our favorite wrestlers, Eye Candy Elliott. And Elliott ended up winning that bout. And so Joey Ryan is being courted by WWE, supposedly. They're interested in having him work in NXT and then potentially becoming a coach.
Wow.
I just... the notes say Joey Ryan with 3 question marks. And Doug, I love that you were like, what does that mean? And I was like, honestly, how I feel, I gave you the lowdown real quick on the story, but my brain is those 3 question marks. Like I don't words. I don't have words. I don't.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. Like I like Joey Ryan, and I know that everyone was saying, well, he's clearly like gonna get signed by AEW. He's out of this Lucha Underground, lifetime deal of prison, and
right.
He was just the big guy at All In with the penis druids and everything, and everyone's like, oh, he's going, and he's a big big time person and being the elite, which by the way, at the end, I need to tell you about something with being the elite that I'm doing. But
Cool.
I will say this. I don't know how well Joey Ryan, the character, would transition to a TV format that is going to rely on, sponsorship and ad revenue. So the
Yeah,
more
we can't even have Bray Wyatt being a creeposaurus, Mr. Rogers, let alone a dude that's gonna dick flip you and tell you to touch it.
yeah,
I already know what's going to happen. They're just going to team him with Robert Roode.
Well, I was gonna say, was that like the dangling carrot? I mean, no pun intended. That they were like, here's Robert Roode with a mustache. Look at what we can do with you, and da da da. You know what I mean? Like he did have a tag team partner, but now he doesn't. It could be you. Or in my heart of hearts, now I know he's known as like a dick guy and the king of sleaze and keeps sleaze, legal, like legalized sleaze and all that. Even though he's actually a really nice, hardworking dude and he's not like sketchy at all, he's very respectful, but he's definitely sleazy. Let's be real. I wonder if in my little heart of hearts, like little girl me, is this where we start seeing like him paired up with Candice LeRae? And maybe because he doesn't do a lot of dick stuff with her, which sounds weird if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Sorry, viewers.
When when they are a tag team, there's not a lot of dick play. You know what I mean? It's more about them as a tag team. So maybe in my heart of hearts, like little girl me watching wrestling going, wow, girls can wrestle, and thinking I could just wrestle dudes, which I can, but WWE doesn't really see that picture or that world. Maybe this is how it begins. But then again, I'm far too optimistic. I think that comes from being a Cubs fan.
No, I can see it. Tagging with her, they do some stuff. Johnny Gargano gets jealous. Next thing you know, he's fighting for the NXT championship. Joey Ryan, NXT champion. I see it.
And no dick stuff.
No, yeah, I mean that could definitely work. I mean, it's just the question of, is WWE going to go? Are they willing to do intergender? And that's going to be.
I don't know.
But it's like, and here's the thing though, even if they don't, the world's cutest tag team could still work in their little mixed tag team format that they always do.
Absolutely.
Tag out. And I don't think I'm obviously I support intergender. I enjoy intergender wrestling. I think it can be very good if it's done well. But I understand that not everyone likes it. I mean, there's a lot of people I really respect that I know for a fact are not fans of it. I know Shayna Baszler is not a fan of intergender wrestling. I've talked with her about that.
Yeah,
I know it might be the only thing I don't love about her, but it's okay. She has to have one flaw. Otherwise, Shayna Baszler is just far too perfect for this world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love her so much. I'm wearing. Oh my god! By the way, I'm wearing her shirt right now. I just looked down. Wow.
Did I tell you the first time I met her?
No, tell us.
Okay.
Was it at a Shimmer?
No, it wasn't. It was at a New Japan show.
Really?
Yeah, I was at the New Japan show in Long Beach, the first one they did where Kenny won the belt, the U.S. belt, and she was like 2 rows behind me with Jessamine Duke, and I didn't know who Jessamine Duke was at the time, so I just thought it was like her friend that was there with her, so I kind of like didn't say anything to her, but I knew Shayna because I'd been watching her online and stuff. I saw her at
Trifecta.
I saw her in Stardom and stuff like that. Yeah, Trifecta. Yeah, represent. And then I went up to her and said, "Hey, I'm a huge fan." And I introduced myself as the guy from Reddit because I set up her AMA. She had done an AMA with us, and she gets up and just gives me a giant hug.
Isn't she the best?
Yeah, and then
I just love her so much.
I did, and then I saw her later on. We were a bunch of people were gonna go to a bar afterwards, and hey, we're gonna go to this bar if you and your group want to come, and just no pressure. And she ended up showing up, and we had drinks and stuff. It was wonderful. She's awesome.
Oh, Doug, just stop! I love her so much already. I'm not even joking. I am wearing a Shayna Baszler shirt right now.
She's so nice.
And that's
so
like
nice.
my only thing, like, me, I'm finally making a transition, talking about the wrestling stuff and getting in, I wouldn't say into the business, but just being around it more. Like when I see these wrestlers, like, deep down inside, I'm marking out, but I play it cool. Like I know, like at the, what was it, Warrior Wrestling 4, I see Moose, and we made eye contact, and it was kind of like the black man head nod, like "What's up?"
There you go.
Shayna Baszler shirt. Had to show you
I see it.
guys.
There you go. Oh man, I'm about to say, let's just hope there's not a neck beard in the
Oh, God.
YouTube or thing right now. Oh my God, but yeah, so that whole Joey Ryan thing, we'll see. I can't see him being a coach.
We'll see.
I
My
mean-
advice, but I'll say it's my advice as far as like hang out. This is what I do with wrestlers. It's like I just know that a lot of them probably want to drink, so I'm always saying like, hey, I'm going to a bar. If you want, I'm a big fan. I will happily buy you a drink. That's what I do.
Man, yeah. I think that might be my approach because, like I said, seeing so many, like wrestlers and shit, like I think Warrior Wrestling 2, like I was taking a piss and David Arquette was like taking a piss right next to me, and I was like, "What's up?" I didn't, obviously I didn't even want to talk to him, and who wants to talk to?
Well, you probably don't want to talk to
him,
him when you're pissing.
So it's like it's just so weird, and like I said, Moose, he definitely looked at me and was like. I can tell he had that look like, man, you don't look like you belong here,
Patrick, you do belong. Even though your t-shirts are going to say what?
Fuck Hulk Hogan.
No, those already exist.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just a black guy who likes wrestling.
Yeah, I'm just a black guy who likes wrestling. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like my Hulk Hogan shirt at Warrior Wrestling 4. Just a couple. But, I get it. Hulk Hogan's Hulk Hogan.
Right, and Val, I think you'd probably agree with this. It's like I buy merch and stuff because I want to support the wrestlers that I like.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's my main thing. So to me, it's like whether I'm buying them merch, whether I'm buying them drinks, or whether I'm sending them flowers on their retirement show. It's like that's how you support wrestlers that you really like, is just by showing your appreciation in whatever way you think is best.
That reminds me, I got to buy a 40 ounce for Mr. Eye Candy Elliott. I got to buy him a King Cobra.
For sure.
He'd probably like that.
Yeah, he would actually super love that. And he has new t-shirts, so you should buy a t-shirt because it's awesome. Anyway, but let's talk about something that, is not always so awesome. It's Raw.
It's a hard watch.
It was a hard watch. We don't have to talk about it very, very much because I'd rather just talk about everything other than Raw, honestly. But Patrick, you want to give it the rundown real quick?
It started out with a big ass fucking promo with about 6 people in the ring, which I absolutely hate because if you completely hate each other, why ain't you just fighting as soon as you see the person? Why am I going to sit there and let you talk and talk shit about me and just sit there and just end the promo like that? It just ends as a stare down. And I don't know. Maybe I just like my wrestling a little bit different. I don't know. But
it could be worse. They could be on the ramp.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, it could be.
Or
one guy
it could
in
be
the ring.
worse. They could be lined up awkwardly watching the same TV together backstage.
Oh yeah, in that weird angle. Yeah, but it was 2 matches were made. I'm not looking in the notes because I'm trying to remember why I'm high. I think it was AJ, Samoa Joe, and Rey Mysterio in a qualifying match, and I think that what started it out. Let me get the doc up right quick. I should be prepared for this type of shit, but I've been smoking and just shooting shit. So the first match was AJ Styles defeating Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio to become a number 1 contender for the qualifying triple threat match later on in the evening, and whoever won that will be like the true number 1 contender or whatever. Then we had Naomi defeating Billie Kay in 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Yeah,
exactly what I'm talking about. And I can't even make a joke about this being a piss break match because I pee longer than 1 minute, I think. Or maybe not. If I'm pissing for more than 2 minutes, I need to go see a doctor. But
probably.
Yeah, so Naomi defeated Billie Kay with Peyton Royce, whatever. Baron Corbin, he defeated The Miz and Drew McIntyre. I don't get it. To qualify to fight AJ Styles later in the night. Cesaro defeated Cedric Alexander, which was actually a very good match, and I would like to see more of it, especially with Sheamus kind of in limbo right now. Becky Lynch defeated Alicia Fox, returning Alicia Fox. Glad to see that she's sober in the ring.
There was a couple of spots, so I was like, oof, that's not good on either of them.
Yeah, man.
It was like the leg scissors thing.
Oh yeah.
That was
man,
rough.
it was rough.
I was worried.
But she's lasted longer than JTG, and he's in amazing shape right now. By the way, Robert Roode, which he defeated Ricochet. Why have Ricochet win all these matches? And and I know it's one match. I get it, and I know Mr. Robert Roode is trying this new. It's not even a new gimmick. He just has a mustache.
But he's definitely more of a heel now instead of this like goofball face,
Well, it's a gimmick. Its gimmick is he's the listen. Me and your mother are getting very serious now.
Yeah, you don't have to call me dad.
You don't have to call me dad. I'd like it if we could be friends. Like that's a gimmick.
That's definitely I can see that. I can picture that. Man, so Robert Roode defeated Ricochet, a head scratcher right there. And then, of course, AJ Styles defeats Baron Corbin to fight Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. Baron Corbin, I know a lot of people hate Baron Corbin. I like him. I think he's one of the most improved. I think once he got rid of the Undertaker stuff, the Undertaker head that he had, he became better. But he's one of the top heels. You hear the heat when he comes out to the ring. He's pretty much, I think, probably the most hated on Raw. If you think about it, he retired Kurt Angle, which I thought was amazing because I've always said I didn't want Kurt Angle to wrestle anymore. I hate, I'm one of those guys that just hate seeing like someone that they grew up on, get in the ring and be shit. And it's not because they're bad, just because they're old. Like Kurt Angle was old, he was stiff. When he did that moonsault, I thought his bones were going to turn to fucking Yoo-hoo or
oh my god!
Like I just I just don't like seeing heroes that I grew up on still in the ring and not performing at a high level. I can even go back to Blood in the Sand, whoever that Saudi event with Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Undertaker and Kane. I think that's probably one of the worst matches of 2018.
Absolutely.
So not even. Yeah.
What a mess that they had to end Shawn Michaels' perfect retirement with.
Yeah, man, I talk about it, and it's so crazy. It's a gift and a curse because that horrible match, brought a lot of my old buddies that I used to watch watch in high school. Like high school buddies, they would be like, "Man, dude, I heard Shawn Michaels coming back. I gotta watch this match." And I'm thinking in my head, like, "Man, this is not, man. I don't think you want to see this." But Shawn Michaels is Shawn Michaels, And man, that was
yeah.
tough.
So was that Raw? Is that everything?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, there wasn't really much.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll say this: it's like one of the big issues that I think is been reoccurring is the fact that they just don't build any. They're not building towards anything like long term. Like you said, it's like this. Okay, we're gonna have, this match decides who faces this person later in the night. Like, how many times does that happen? Or if you're building to an hour from now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we started talking about it earlier with the women's tag belts, but
yeah,
and I'm on the side of saying that they probably should have made. What if they just did this? What if they just had Bayley and Sasha hold the belts for like a year, and during that time they just really build up the Iconics as these challengers, but they keep them apart from each other, until maybe like 6 months from now, or
because. I kind of feel like the reason why they didn't do that is because the same reason why they changed the Ronda Charlotte match that was penciled in at WrestleMania 34 to be the main event for 35. Penciled in meaning not set in stone, but everybody kind of knew about it because sometimes things just happen organically. And like Becky Lynch is a great example. Kofi Kingston Kofi Mania is a great example. Sometimes they just happen as a fluke. Austin 316 is probably the greatest example of that in wrestling. But I think that WWE doesn't know how to react to that, and then they water everything down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, and I think it also kind of it. And also part of it is that they don't really have their finger on the pulse, so they're really bad at predicting what's going to happen.
They
And I'm
don't
not
set the trends. I feel like they don't set the trends; they react to them.
right, exactly. Where and then I don't, and then I really try not to be the person who tries to compare WWE to every other promotion. But when you take a look at the way New Japan booked for like the last 2 years, or even like the last 4 months, what they were able to accomplish with Jay White. Were you able to? Have you two kept an eye on that at all?
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
the fact that they were able to bring this guy back a year ago, where he was, a nothing. He was a young lion to the point where they made him like this top heel, and that was absolutely a story that wasn't necessarily organic. They constructed Jay White from the bottom up, and they brought the entire crowd with them. Like he was hated in MSG. They were he's booed out of the building. I mean, they did such an excellent job with that, and then they got that belt back on Okada. So, I mean, I think because I don't think that, and Val, you said it. It's like they react, and I don't necessarily, and I think that's a problem. They should be able to tell stories. The problem is their stories are just not very good.
Yeah. He did not, and I hate to just like always compare to the past, but watching, either WWF or WCW, and I mentioned this a couple times, like they don't leave me wanting to come back the next week. Like back in the days, we always had cliffhangers. They were always ended with people fighting in the ring, and you don't know what happened unless you were there, like that, see the actual event, and you got to wonder for that whole week, like, oh, holy shit, what happened when Raw went off or whatever, what's a cliffhanger or whatever, or what's the conclusion to what happened, and it built up to a pay-per-view that people were invested in. That's why people gave a shit about like Steve Blackman when he was having his feuds and shit like that. Just everyone had a great story, low card, mid card, and then of course like the top tier. We don't have that anymore. I'm not invested in Robert Roode or or the Viking Experience or Raiders or Warriors or whatever the fuck they're going to be called. Like I'm not investing in them because they don't build up the stories long enough anymore. Like,
well, let me ask you this. One thing that we kind of glossed over, that was a pretty substantial part of Raw. I think we were just so annoyed by the lackluster matches, perhaps. The Firefly Funhouse.
Oh yes,
How are we not talking about that?
Sorry,
because the matches were so lackluster, guys. That's why we forgot about
I'm
the
so
craziest,
sorry.
coolest, but weirdest thing we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
I'm
Go
on
ahead.
board.
Yeah, my fault.
I'm on board right now. I think that this whole thing is really interesting. I mean, I'm gonna let it play out before I really decide where it goes. But I think the really nice thing about this is either it's gonna work or it's gonna be an absolute failure. And either way, I'm gonna enjoy watching it. And before we kind of go over it, the one thing I really liked about this is that it kind of played in with what was actually going on with Bray Wyatt in real life with JoJo.
Absolutely.
I mean, because I don't know if maybe it's just me reading into something that's not there, but the whole I used to be a really bad man or did bad things. It's like I think there's some double talk with that one a little bit.
And low key, I kind of think that's JoJo singing the theme music. I might be looking into it more. If you listen back to it, I think that's JoJo singing his music. But like I said, I'm all aboard for it. I think, and I had to fight with neckbeards on Reddit and fucking Facebook, already, oh, this ain't great, like just, complaining. And it's like, bro, if you just shut the fuck up and just sit back and let's enjoy it without dissecting like everything. Let's just sit back. Let's see what happens first. Like I said, I think it's a great idea if they go forward with it. I don't, I think there's rumors of like WWE kind of like dropping it already, like dropping the angle or.
The immediate response was from normal people like us, and I'm sure casual watchers maybe were dabbling in this as well. Yeah. But the majority of the people that I've spoken with or I've read about, like, response to it was I'm intrigued. I want to watch the car crash while it happens, but it's also really exciting. And the way, like, the buzzard was Waylon, you know, like Waylon Mercy and
Oh yeah.
Abby the witch. And is Waylon Mercy going to be Eric Young? And that's why Sanity split up. And Abby the witch is Nikki Cross. Like, oh man, speculations. But who's that bunny rabbit in the logo? Is that maybe Bo Dallas? Like, oh, who is it? Because, the only people that like freak out more about their like cults are like Taylor Swift fans for sure. Like I'm just all the people that are reading into it, and then he like put a chainsaw to his own face, and it's the Mr. Rogers, and he's really fit, and he trimmed his beard down, and he's not speaking with that like fake cult leader from Louisiana accent, and. I mean, just so the fact that he tweeted 2 days ago, to see a ghost, you have to believe in it. It saddens me that you all missed so much with like the emoji of crying face.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Intriguing.
maybe next time.
Very intriguing.
Intriguing is the best way to describe this. And speaking of his tweets, did you notice someone pointed this out that if you go back to like October, like and actually look at his tweets, there's someone like tweeting that's like, Dr. Mercy, the patient has been sedated, we're trying a new thing. So it's like he was in a mental hospital for like the last 6 months, and every now and then someone is tweeting as a doctor, like just on his like updates, almost like it was like a doctor's log. So if this fails, it's not for lack of effort, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and his one, I'm very intrigued by it. That's how I feel about this whole situation, because revenge is a confession is his only line on his Twitter account. And then the tweet that he tweeted yesterday was, I love stockholders, ! And I love all of you, ! With a cajillion hashtags. Hashtag Firefly Funhouse, I Miss Roman, Kayfabe, NLF Draft, Baby Shower, Process Over Outcome, which that one is like really telling to me. Abby the Witch, Maestro, Indiana, Pex, which he looked really buff in his Mr. Rogers sweater, Merch, and Jason Baker. So those are all very, very different, very interesting things that just, man, this dude really wants us to like dissect his every single second.
Maybe. And the people who are complaining about this and think it's like ridiculous, it's like, look, dude, what company are you watching? It's ridiculous. It's fine. This is what it's supposed to be. This is why we watch WWE, is because you get a lot of nonsense. I mean, which is what AEW is trying to be different, and that's what I appreciate. But it's like at the same time, it's like, you know what this company is, you know what you're gonna get, and it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, you just gotta wait and see how it plays out. Yeah.
I'm very excited to see how it plays out, because it can go one of two ways. It can go bugs on the ring mat projections. Or it can go the creepy tractor at the House of Horrors that just rolled by.
Yeah.
Or it can go them trying to pretend that they were fighting in a house and then ending up at the venue to continue the fight. I mean, there's so many like things that could go so wrong.
My biggest fear with it is it's going to be my fear is what was going to happen is the same thing that kind of happened with Bray Wyatt when he first started, where everyone was hanging on every word he said. They were dissecting all of his little speeches because they thought it was going somewhere, and it ended up going nowhere.
Yeah.
And I hope that they actually have like an end goal with this, where stuff is going to be revealed. It's all going to make sense in the end, because we never got that with Bray Wyatt. Nothing ever made sense. So as long as they have like a story that they're trying to tell with an end, I will probably be satisfied.
Yeah, that is true. And I'm rooting for Bray. Like it's been a rough year for him. It's been kind of rough. So I'm hoping that this works out, and we don't see him being disgruntled on Twitter asking for his release as well.
Well, Well, I hope he pays his child support now, at least.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
no
yeah,
joke.
man, do that and stop buying ponies. But geez, so I guess we go over to SmackDown. We had a dark match with Heavy Machinery defeating the B Team. Condolences to both of those guys. Both teams. I don't know what they're going to do with Heavy Machinery and B Team. I think it's time for Curtis Axel to just be a coach or be an agent. Dean Malenko just left, so it's
Job opening.
Yeah, job opening right there, man. Because I don't see any more title reigns with them. Especially with all the stacked tag teams that we have currently in WWE. We start out with I believe Shane McMahon came out and obviously was talking shit about the big dog Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns comes out, and this is what I hate. I hate this in wrestling now, because I remember back in the old days when Vince McMahon would be out in the ring talking shit, and you would hear that glass break. It was like Vince McMahon shitted on himself. Like he was so afraid. Roman Reigns music hits, and Shane is like there. He's not backing down. And I get it. Like they're building up Shane to be the best in the world ever or whatever. But
they're building him to be CM Punk.
Yeah, man. I guess oh man. But I just don't like that. Like he came out there and he didn't he wasn't afraid, and then out came Elias to help Shane. So now they're kind of like in it together or something like that. They formed some type of alliance, which is cool because it's they did promise new matchups or whatever. So they're together now and they beat the shit out of Roman Reigns. Let me go back to the doc. Okay, there we go. Then we had Finn Balor defeating Andrade, who mysteriously moved back to SmackDown. Two reports came out. Of course, the neckbeards. Oh yeah, Charlotte and her pool.
That made me so mad.
Charlotte. It's like shut up.
Like Charlotte is Hulk Hogan in 1996 or 1997 in WCW.
Like what the fuck, So
throwing weight around.
Yeah,
get the fuck out of people's private lives, by the way.
Let them do what they do, whatever it is, But it was reported that with this Fox deal going on, they need some Latino stars, and Andrade could be that guy. So hopefully, something works out with that. But Finn Balor defeated him. Kairi Sane with Asuka and Paige, which is it's still growing on me. They defeated Peyton Royce in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Just like the match the night before, just 20 seconds longer. Man, I don't know
just 20 seconds longer.
Yeah, I just don't know what they're doing with the women's tag team right now. But Charlotte defeated Bayley to become yet again #1 contender. And you know what? I can't even be mad, because it's always been a complaint on Neckbeard Twitter that Charlotte always get handed everything to her. Because she's Ric Flair's daughter, and always it's always a fan that's always trying to dig deeper into shit, And it's like, okay, well, let's look at it this week. Bayley came out, Charlotte, they cut their little promo. And
well, first Becky and Charlotte were yelling at each other, and it was so, I don't know which was worse, if it was Becky and Charlotte yelling at each other and not letting each other complete a sentence without yelling at each other, or the commentators arguing about them during the match. It was a whole lot of yelling, and it was like, dude, can I just put this on mute? Because this, Charlotte's my favorite. I have a custom made Bayley Club t-shirt. I love Becky, these are 3 of my ideal humans to watch in a wrestling ring. And it was such a good match, but I had to put it on mute. I was like, shut up, commentators. Sorry. I just wanted to put that up.
No, but my thing is everyone talks shit about Charlotte, and this whole thing was Bayley came out and said that, Charlotte doesn't earn anything, and guess what happened? Charlotte beat her ass and became the #1 contender. And I mean, I think that's deserving. She earned it, right? You can't All right, so neckbeards, please be quiet. And the last match was Kofi Kingston with Big O, Kevin Owens, and Xavier Woods, and they defeated Shinsuke Nakamura. Rusev, who was in a suit, which I guess, hoping that was him in that Snapchat. I'm glad he has clothes on now. And Lana, they both, they won by disqualification. And at the end of the match, Kevin Owens once again becomes a heel, super kicks Kofi, says he's coming after the title, and then did a apron power bomb on Xavier Woods. So that was SmackDown.
Can I ask you guys, are either of you, I don't think either of you are surprised that KO turned heel. Are you surprised that they did it so soon? And what do you think the reasons for him going heel so soon? What do you think those reasons are for? Because, it hasn't even been, are they trying to build for a match at Money in the Bank? Because that seems bogus. Like, you would think that they would try to run that a little bit longer.
Well, I think they pulled the trigger on it because there's not a lot of heels on SmackDown. You got Samoa Joe's gone now, so I'm trying to think. Is Randy Orton still around? Randy Orton's still around, but he, neither here or there.
Was there a heel? Okay, did someone get moved that was a heel?
Samoa
Joe. Yeah, Samoa Joe.
Okay, so yeah, maybe that's why. If he just got, maybe that seems weird, but yeah, I don't know.
I just felt like it seemed really, really soon for them to do this because we are not even a month out from WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's true. But if we're going by, my bad, Val, if we're going by what Kofi says a lot, especially like on Twitter and stuff, like, he's always praising Prince Mustafa Ali a lot. You would think, like, man, that he would be the first guy he would give a shot to.
Right.
Hey, you were hurt. I took your spot. Kind of, I'm sorry, my bad. I got the title now, but I'll give you a shot. And, you would have thought that would have been the next program leading up to it. But, hey, Kevin, the big O, and, Big E can't do anything about it. And maybe that's a good thing because, there was rumors of Big E, splitting from New Day or whatever. So, maybe it was a good thing. But that was SmackDown. Like, it wasn't really nothing crazy. I wasn't, oh my God. Like, I didn't have the shocked Undertaker face, like when Kevin Owens, like, turned. And I was like, oh, Kevin Owens, he's a bad guy again. Oh, okay. Let me turn on my Xbox. But that was it. I didn't get any, it was like whatever. But yeah, that was SmackDown. Yeah.
Can I just point out real quick, because I always got to talk about the shop.com, right? Shopwwe.com. Since you brought up our homeboy Ali, he has his very first WWE shirt. I'm pretty stoked for him.
Yes.
It's now available on WWEshop.com. So go support Ali.
Yeah, I like every shirt except the yellow one. That's it.
Yeah.
And you know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely, they could have did something different, but hey, I'm gonna try to give me a black Ali shirt because it kind of looks like, it looks dope. I like it, but keep the yellow one.
I was saying the other day, I need to get some pink in my wardrobe because I have like none, and I think like I should get a pink shirt. I need like a pink like wrestling shirt because I'm sick of black.
I'm trying to think. Who has a pink?
That's just
Dolph Ziggler.
That's my random
I Candy
thought.
Elliott.
Yeah, sometimes I just have
random.
I have random thoughts. Like the other day, like today, I was thinking like, when I was a kid, I had like this really weird fear of cannibals, and it just popped in my head. I don't know.
It's because you're like tired of dealing with all the people arguing in SquaredCircle.
Yeah, that's
and so you're like,
I
just need to have like a nonsensical thought for 2 seconds to snap me back to reality.
Yeah.
Man, SquareCircle is something else. Great place though, but it's something else,
The AMA, listen, you know what? I will say this: it's like the AMAs are nice, setting those up, and a lot of promotions we have a lot of connections with promotions, so it really we try to, work with a lot of different people. So if we ever need to talk to someone from a promotion, we usually have a connection. So it's
That's
nice.
dope. Yeah.
Like
I said, it's a good place. I don't have, like I said, I've seen some crazy shit up in there, not from like, the monitors or anything like that, but wrestling fans are a gift and a curse. That's all I would say about that. Like, it's cool to meet like a cool wrestling fan, like, oh shit, where you can actually like sit and have a conversation with them, or a healthy debate. But then you have those Cheeto thumb, OG Bullet Club shirt guys, and nothing against like Bullet Club or anything like that, but like the fan I'm talking about. Like, I'm not talking shit, like it's
the
it's
ones that need
guy.
to be thrown out of shows.
Yeah, the ones that make the stupid fucking remarks when the women are in the ring saying sexist shit and homophobic shit and things like that at certain shows in Chicago, not naming no names.
They need to be tossed.
But yeah, like
no
man.
comment.
No comment. Yeah, no comment on any establishment in Chicago that might have fans like that. But it's hard for me, because like I do want to go to these wrestling events, but I hear about this type of stuff all the time on Twitter, and it's kind of like, damn, I am a black guy that like wrestling, and I don't want to go to a show. And I've told Val this plenty of times. If we go to a show and there's a dude that's saying like crazy shit about the women in the ring, I want to fucking lose it. And I don't want to do that because the main goal is to go there to enjoy yourself and be entertained.
Yeah, but like I shut him. Oh, Charlotte has a new shirt, you guys. I shut him down all the time whenever I hear people get inappropriate, whether I'm working a show or I'm just attending a show as a fan. Like if I hear somebody get out of line, I do it like in a polite yet kind of, would you say that around your mother kind of way?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I brought it up once before, but like the last Shimmer weekend before Mania week, there were dudes that were talking about, hit her in the titties. And I just straight up turned around and I was like, they're called chops. Those are chops. And they were like,
Those that type of shit grinds my gears like really bad, and like I say, I love being a wrestling fan, but it's people like that that just make the whole fucking event like it just brings the mood down. Like, dude, like I don't know. I'm just ranting right now because yeah.
Have you guys watched Progress at all or Progress regularly?
Oh yeah, I love Progress.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I was introduced to Jimmy Havoc.
I just don't be a dick. That's all it is. Don't be a dick. That's all you got to do. And like before every show, they got that little chant where they say don't be a dick. And I think that we need more of that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think just like be a good human works too. Like just
Yeah.
Like, or
don't be racist.
Yeah, that's hilarious because I'm looking at Hulk Hogan's discounted T-shirts on WWEshop.com right now.
That's cool. I bet they're flying off the shelf right now.
So they're 40% off if you want to buy all of them. So Doug, I don't know if you know this about me, but I am like a shop addict. Not a shopping addict, but a shop.com addict.
Oh. Yes.
And part of the reason why I like to look, I only buy from the wrestlers I truly, 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 truly love, like Shayna Baszler, Charlotte Flair.
Charlotte.
Yeah, lots of Charlotte. I like buying Rob. God, I'm going to screw his name up. Rob Schramberger. How do you say it? Schamberger. He's the artist that does all the amazing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So I just bought a China print. He finally put those up for sale. But anyway, so I like to look at them. Rob Schamberger, I want to say.
Something like that.
Yeah. I like to look at it, the shop.com, for clues as to what they think is happening.
That's a great place to look though. It's definitely, they spoil a lot of shit on shop.com.
Oh my God. Not only did they like put out the New Day champion shirts before the match was even over.
Oh God, yeah.
But little things like they released Mela is Money, and then boom, she won the title a few days later. You know what I mean? So it's like little subtle things. And so one of the subtle things that I just noticed, just out of curiosity while we were talking about stuff I was scanning, is virtually all of Sasha Banks stuff, for the most part, is all on sale.
Ooh.
I don't know that I've ever seen that happen before. The only thing that is not on sale really is like the Rob Schamberger stuff. Like,
That's
you know,
that's
I
interesting.
mean,
I don't think they're gonna let her go.
I don't think so
Yeah.
either, but I mean, I've never seen her stuff for like 50% off. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Well, the
Like,
rumor is like she's supposed to like they're trying to bring her back so she can win the women's Money in the Bank. But
oh God, I don't want that to happen either, to be honest with you. I'm going to be there. Most likely, Vinnie Mac and I are going. And
What
'cause
city
we
is it
both
in
have,
this year?
it's in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And we have the day off. Cubs are away. So,
why not? Fuck it.
yeah.
You know?
You know, like you were saying, Doug, how you just do like all the miles and points and all that. I do the same thing.
Mhm.
And because of roller derby, I have like 1,000,000 points from Southwest. And so whenever there's a sale on cheap airfare, I just buy cheap flights, whatever. And I use my Southwest card for everything, or my American Airlines stuff. Like, that's exactly how I travel so much for wrestling. So I love that you do that too.
Yeah, absolutely. What I do right now is I have a Barclays card that I use, and I just kind of use that for stuff. But that's the way to go. You just do that for
Absolutely.
traveling.
Yeah.
So
So
real quick, we'll just talk about 205 Live. Umberto Carrillo won over Drew Gulak by pinfall with a pretty sick headstand Arabian press moonsault. This dude's very impressive. I'm excited about Umberto
I like
Carrillo.
him. like
Arya Davari over Oni Lorcan with the Pepsi twist to become the #1 contender to the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. And then over on NXT, we also saw Umberto Carrillo took on Jason Riker. That basically just ended in some crazy chaos going on. The next match I need to watch again because it was like the tiny but mighty versus the loud and fighty. And it was Candice LeRae and Casey Catanzaro taking on Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne. They have a really nice alliance going, those two. They're just like, they just want to be loud up in your face and get shit done. But Candice and Casey also, I'm really kind of excited about this pairing. They ended up taking the win over Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne.
Did you see what people are calling their tag team?
What are they calling him?
Ninja Cupcakes.
That's amazing. You made me squeal.
I like that. Hey, don't
so
get too excited, Neckbeard, because she said she squealed, okay? Don't get too
calm down.
Neckbeard. Calm down.
No, because I have the Candice LeRae cupcake shirts, and I think it's perfect that they're calling it Ninja Cupcakes. Oh, that's so cool. Shayna Baszler and her two best friends that want to fight, want to play, ambush the crap out of Io Shirai. Now that she's all alone, Jessamine Duke, Marina Shafir, and Shayna Baszler are just going to destroy her. But if there's anybody that's going to stand up to that trifecta, not to, say anything about Mercedes Martinez or Nicole Savoy, because that with Shayna Baszler is like trifecta for life. But I mean, Io Shirai moonsaults in like skinny jeans. That's all I'm saying. Ono really wants. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say Shayna Baszler just needs to have that belt forever somehow.
Yeah,
Oh my
always
God.
be champion. She's so good. Okay,
She's so good at everything. Cassius Ono really wants to be Kushida's first opponent. Looks like that's gonna happen. And of course, the name changers defeated the Street Profits. So Viking Raiders, still your NXT champions. And Johnny Champion, still champion. He defeated Roderick Strong. And he also conquered throwing out a ceremonial pitch at Progressive Field for the Indians. So there you go.
Oh, yeah, when they named him the WCW champion?
Yeah, the what did he call it? The Triple Crown?
Triple Crown winner?
Yeah, WCW Triple Crown champion, Johnny Gargano. Who knew?
Yeah, so, yeah, I guess that concludes all the fucking wrestling this week. Man, it was a tough watch. It was a tough
watch. But that means that you should, focus all your energies on some sick-ass local wrestling. Hello,
Yes,
Chicago
yes,
Scene
yes,
Report.
yes.
Zello Pro is having a show. It's Wrestling on Weed Street on this Sunday, actually. So, excuse me, doors are at 1:30. Bell time is at 2 p.m., so it's early. You can get there, get your wrestling on, and still, go about your business. It's at 940 West Weed Street. There's tickets available online or at joesbar.com or, of course, at the venue box office. Um, it's going to be a good show. I have yet to see a Zello Pro show that wasn't awesome. But I can tell you some of the wrestlers that are appearing. I don't know all the matches per se, but I do believe that Britt Baker is taking on her AEW roster mate, Kylie Ray, for the Zello Pro Champion. And excuse me if I misspeak there, but I know that they are both on the card. Bryce Benjamin, Isaiah Velasquez, Pat Monick, Simon Grimm. I mean, it's just going to be a really good show. So
Zello Pro is low key good. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
They don't get enough props for what they do.
No, I agree. I mean, oh yeah, Lainey Luck is taking on Elenia Black. She's an up and comer. She's a badass. Elenia Black and Lainey Luck. Everybody's yeet yeet party unicorn. It's just going to be a really good show. They are absolutely a great promotion. They're a little bit newer. They're not as established as some of the other Chicago promotions, but they're just really good. They put on great shows. Joe's is a fun venue to watch wrestling at. So, if you're looking for them, check it out. It's like $15 for general admission. It's going to be a good time. I'm planning on going for at least half of it, and then I got to be at Nisei by 5:00. So I'm just going to go watch like 2 or 3 matches. But honestly, even if I only watch 2 or 3 matches for $15, the caliber of talent that's going to be there, it's going to be great.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
It's the end of April, so we got like 2 or 3 weeks until Warrior Wrestling. I think that might be the next event I'll go to.
May 12th.
Yeah. So
See,
man.
I have tickets. I'm going to GCW next weekend. I'm doing that.
Oh man.
And then
I don't know if I can go to that weekend, which I really want to, but it's Cubs Cardinals weekend at Wrigley, and so I might just have to watch the GCW online after.
Yeah, probably.
So is GCW coming like here?
Yeah, they're
going to Summit.
They're coming to Summit at the main event.
Okay.
Joey Janela versus Orange Cassidy.
God, it's gonna be so good.
And Tony Deppen is booked. I do know that.
I know Tony's on the show. I really want to go.
Oh man, I gotta go. I think I have to go because like I said, Tony Deppen is like my favorite wrestler, like overall, like this whole year. And I want to go get some merch. Like I'll go get some merch from him. And like I like GCW, even though they're a little bit different. It's still good. I still like GCW. So
absolutely. Yeah, I have right now I have 3 shows that I'm going to in May. I have that one. I'm going to go to the AAW show because
I am too.
Yeah, I'll go. Good, we'll be there. My friend Masaki's flying in because she's going to the New Japan show the next day, the Ring of Honor New Japan show. I am not because that's Mother's Day and I'm a good son.
Well, I'm a terrible daughter. Well, my dad doesn't do Mother's Day, and my grandma has passed away. And it'll be my first Mother's Day without a little dog to cuddle. Oh. So I'm going to watch all the wrestling.
Well, look at you.
Yeah, that's why Warrior is early in the day, because I'm pretty sure everybody at Warrior will be at that show at night.
Yeah, that'll be a double header. That's not bad. Actually, I should restate. I'm not a good mother. I'm a good husband because, I got to make... it'll be the Mother's Day for my wife.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'm doing Double or Nothing. I'll be flying out there, meeting up with once again my friend Misaki and my friend Carrie, who lives in Texas, and it'll be her birthday. So happy birthday, Carrie!
Happy birthday!
Yes.
Nice.
Holy shit! Well, I guess we can wrap up the show, but before we wrap it up, Mr. Doug, how can anyone and everyone reach you?
Absolutely. As I said, I am Skeach101 on Reddit. I am also that on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter. Also, just another little side project that I started recently. If you go to Patreon, Transcribing Elite. So it'd be patreon.com/transcribing elite. What I've started doing is raising money to create transcriptions of Being the Elite episodes for the people who are hard of hearing.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so I'm doing professional transcription. So they cost money. So usually it's going to cost me around $120 a month just to get the transcription. So right now the goal is to get 40 people to pledge $3 a month, and then we will be able to provide those transcriptions to anyone who needs them. They're offered for free to anyone, so it's not like you need to be a subscriber to get them. They're offered to anyone. But right now this is kind of a little passion project of mine that I put together because I believe wrestling should be for everyone and
Absolutely.
So this is my project right now, and I just started it maybe about 2 weeks ago, and so far I have 9 Patreons, so I'm about a quarter of the way there. So
That's
good
awesome.
start.
You're about to have a few more, man. Because I'm definitely
Absolutely.
I'm
Will you
definitely joining.
actually, Doug, will you tweet something so that Patrick and I and Scheduled for One Fall and everybody can retweet it just so we can share that? Because
I definitely want to add it in the description as well on Podbean as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tweet it out, and there's also a Twitter account for that. It's transcribing E. It's just the letter E, and that's just to and that's for whenever I do a transcription, I get it back. I upload it because that's the thing. I'm not the one doing the transcriptions. I go through Rev.com, which is a professional transcription service. When they get them, it plays the video, and then it has the actual transcriptions next to it. It highlights the words as it goes through the video, so they can follow along. And Rev's they're really reasonable. They're only cost $1 a minute for the video. So assuming a video goes. Young Bucks do 20-minute videos, 4 of them. It's $80, and then sometimes I'll do some extra videos that go along with it. Like I did the Dustin Rhodes video where he was announced as Cody. I did that one just because I thought it was a really great promo. But I'm like I said, it's a passion project. If I don't get the money, I will pay for it out of my pocket because I really like doing this. But I would, I'd love support if I could get it because I think it's a really worthwhile cause.
No, and also, so I just followed your Twitter for this, and I think it's really, really cool that you're doing this, honestly, because wrestling should be for everyone. And I think a lot of times people that are hard of hearing kind of get left by the wayside because there aren't always translators at shows, and there's not always ways to do this. So that's very, very cool that you're doing this. Yeah. But I also just love that you're using that photo of Cody.
Is that the most appropriate photo?
Yes. Yes. The one where he's cupping his ear going, I'm listening. Yes. I'm trying to hear what you're saying. It's so great.
Yeah. And just since we're on one more thing, since we're on the topic of just inclusive wrestling, I just wanted to kind of plug it because I'm so happy they're doing it. If you see Rise on June 30th is doing that's the day of the Chicago Gay Pride Parade.
Girl, you're acting like I'm not going to plug that all month of June.
I know.
Me and Vinnie Mac. No, do it now. Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Do it every day.
We have to because I'm so excited for this show just because
so am I.
It's going to be so cool. Jake Atlas is going to be on it. Jake Atlas is a guy that I just learned about at WrestleMania weekend, and he's so freaking good.
He is super good. He is awesome, and he's a really nice dude. He comes out of the Santino brothers, right?
I think so. Like I said, I just learned about him, so he's really new to me.
Yeah, he's great.
But he was great. I saw him at the Joey Janela shows, and I feel bad because I didn't really realize who he was and what a legend he is. But the main event of the show is it's Mercedes Martinez versus. God, hang on. And this is I feel bad because I didn't know his name, but he's a it's Cassandro El Exotico.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, who's from Mexico. I guess he's one of the Exoticos, which I'm bad. I'm bad with lucha. I should be better with it, but I don't want to say they're like trans or drag performers, but they're but they're kind of skirting on that.
Mhm.
I know that AAA has several of characters like that. If anyone saw Maximo Sexy, it was kind of like that.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
gonna say Maximo Sexy. I've seen him at Arena Mexico actually.
yeah, so it's similar to that, and he's, or she's, I don't know what pronouns. Like I said, I feel bad talking about this because I'm still kind of.
Well, under Wikipedia, Cassandro is listed as he. So
Okay, so I think I was
perhaps
fine
with
with that.
this persona, Cassandro goes as they or she. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
always best
And
to
then, yeah,
ask if you don't know.
and regardless, this show just looks like it's going to be unlike anything in Chicago, because that's what I've always wanted, was like a show that's so inclusive and celebratory of so many different types of people in wrestling. And that's kind of why I love Pro Wrestling Eve in London, because I think it really encapsulates that. And if anyone wants to give it a shot, Chris Wolf's retirement show is tomorrow, and I strongly suggest checking it out. I mean, I've flown to London just to see these shows. I mean, they're great, and wrestling for everyone. And
Yeah, yeah. Man, that is crazy. Man, before we go off, I just saw some shit on Twitter. A ref at NXT broke his fucking leg in the
Oh,
middle of the ring, and
is
he
that what
still,
everybody was talking about? Oh my
yes,
gosh.
and he still made the 3 count.
who did?
Oh my gosh.
One of the refs at NXT, and it looks vicious. Like said, oh my god, oh, get what I did there? Holy shit! Oh no, but
Good
I
job,
gotta,
Patrick.
yeah, yeah, no, but yeah, it looks horrible, man. But obviously the ref is okay, and he said, man, shit, that, yeah, I'm looking at the picture right now. It's gruesome, but
Ugh.
yeah,
Well,
so
I was
prayers
gonna.
to him.
Geez, I don't. I can't even believe that happened. But also, you know what? True professionals, man. Like Chelsea Green finished her match out with a broken forearm. Like,
Oh
oh
yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
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 But
Well.
Doug, thanks so much for hanging out and talking about wrestling and having to sit through the long recap of a lot of wrestling that was subpar with moments of hope. And
Well, this was. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just like no, I'm just so stoked that you like I messaged you. I'm like, you love wrestling, like I love wrestling, and you truly believe it's for everybody. And hearing you starting this passion project, that's so awesome. I mean, just transcribing for the elite, it's gonna be very cool. I
Thank you. I
think.
appreciate it, and thank you for having me on. This was fun.
Yeah. I definitely appreciate you coming on the show, man. Like for real, man.
Anytime. I'll do it anytime.
Man. I'm looking at the time. Speaking of time, I'm looking at the time, and it's late as shit. Um, this is episode 54. I am Patrick with Val Capone and Mr. Doug, and we are out.